Within religion, there exist many phenomena that seem unexplainable. This sort of phenomena includes things like how prayer works, how divination works, how demonic possession works, and how supernatural entities in general work. In this video, I hope to demonstrate that none of this has to be unknowable to the rational mind, and that there is a way to explain how this phenomena works without appealing to mystery or ignorance. In other words, there is a full scientific explanation of these things. However, it being a scientific explanation does not mean that the phenomena itself is not real. Rather, paradoxically, the science itself and the framework it goes on actually confirms the religious phenomena. Throughout this series, we have looked at things that are supernatural, which can be explained by science, and this is no more different than the phenomena of prayer. Prayer is said to involve a person or a group of people said to communicate with God. However, this phenomena has a mechanism by which it works. The mechanism is very simple. The mind of the all, or what religions refer to as God, generates the universe from the collective intermental plane, and in turn, the practitioner talks to God in his or her own mental interplane, which of course is a part of the greater collective intermental plane. Since the mind of the all spans the entirety of this realm, this mind knows all and can hear all within it. Likewise, from the perspective of the practitioner, if their vibrations are tuned correctly, he or she may be able to receive information back from the mind of the all. We will explore this more in a future video. The second religious phenomena of divination can be explained in this framework as well. Divination is when one is able to predict the future, so to speak, and it is closely related to the principal correspondence, and any phenomena of synchronicity in the collective subconscious. In our previous video, we showed how Jung's collective subconscious and learned how space-time emerges from this collective subconscious, which in turn is identical to quantum information in the wave function. This will give people the ability to access that realm, and through archetypal imagery, it can be used to read into what is happening in the future of the space-time universe. This is because the program from which it is simulated is written in archetypes in the collective subconscious, which people may have certain access to. But I should be clear that mere knowledge of the mechanism at work behind this phenomena do not justify engaging in this phenomena, as we should all be aware that knowledge is power, and power can be used to abuse for good or bad ends. The purpose is to merely demystify the phenomena by providing knowledge of the scientific mechanism behind it. The third is human possession, and it has existed throughout human history. As we have gone over in previous videos, the wave function is mental in nature, and there is nothing inherently impossible for the physics of conscious agents to exist in this realm where they are not tied to physical avatars within space-time. Though they could have physical avatars in other space-times, that is to say other vibrational planes, we will explore this more in a bit. These beings may fit the description of what religion refers to as supernatural beings. Since they exist in the collective intermental plane, they are naturally able to influence the minds of humans also extended in the intermental realm. These beings would influence a person by getting their thoughts to resonate with the mental vibrations of the demons. In fact, this phenomena even exists today in some modern musicians who describe themselves as having alter egos which influence their behavior to the performers. Sometimes they may even mention that these alter egos have been summoned up and that they cannot make them leave, illustrating the nature of these persons and that they're not merely artifacts of personal psychology. Now, the question is, how do these beings exist in other space-time, so to speak? The simple answer is that from our perspective, the beings occupied in these planes would by their own standards be definable as supernatural and spiritual given our usual usage of these terms. However, if we look at the physics from their own perspective, that given that the collapse of the wave function is relative to reference frame, everything will collapse its own reference frame from its own vibrational frequency. This means that even though these supernatural beings are outside our space-time, from their perspective, they would also have collapsed quantum states and exist as physical beings. In fact, they would see themselves as biological beings with stars and planets similar to our own. Now, I want to mention the Fermi paradox. This paradox is simply that there is a high probability that there exist extraterrestrials in the universe, but that we lack evidence for these extraterrestrials. Within religious and secular circles, there exist two general views about what aliens actually are. On the one hand is a secular view, which is that they are mainly visitors from other worlds. And on the other hand, there is a view that they are metaphysical beings and are just demons. However, there is a high chance that both of these views could actually be true at the same time. When we look at the Fermi paradox from the Hermetic perspective, then a simple solution provides itself. The solution to the Fermi paradox is that from our perspective, aliens or demons would appear to be spiritual, but from their own perspective, they would appear physical, like how we are physical beings, and this is due to the relativistic nature of quantum mechanics, and that collapse is relative to reference frame. The Fermi paradox is only an issue if you see it from a materialist account, which leaves no room for the spiritual, or from a religious account which reduces the spiritual to superstition and radically separates it from the physical. But the account I have given here reconciles both views into one. Also, as observed in astronomy, the presence of dark matter closely matches that of real matter. This is because dark matter is strongly concentrated in galaxies where normal matter is very scarce in intergalactic space. If dark matter is actually the presence of the other planes, however, then it may not be wrong to think of these other planes as sufficiently close, and from their own reference frames, they may in fact be thought of as the same stars, and in some cases, and existing in essentially the same universe, were it not for the fact that their plane exists on another vibration. Also, there is a lot of talk about whether or not there is evidence for aliens existing in the past, and this is documented in the TV show called Ancient Aliens. These descriptions are not wrong, they are only limited in scope. They are not really ancient aliens confused with demons, nor are they exclusively demons who is being chalked up by secularists as just aliens. The real deception is that this is a false dichotomy. When we look at angels, demons, aliens, and extraterrestrials from a Hermetic perspective, it turns out that aliens are demons, and demons are aliens in the quite literal sense.